Welcome to this computer-aided drafting class. Today we will be focusing on preparation of drawing sheet and how to make title blocks, grid references, create margins and borders, etc. Now the advantage in AutoCAD is that you can create this sort of a template and save it uh, for later use. Here I should mention that AutoCAD provides a separate file type, which is a template type of file, and its extension is not DWG but DWT, T for template. So we have a template file with extension of .dwt that can be saved, and these templates can later be used for other drawings as well. What is the advantage? The advantage, of course, is that you do not need to create these borders and margins and grid references and title block again and again. If you have done engineering drawing previously, you will see that creating the drawing sheet is a bit of a task. It requires a bit of effort even before you begin your drawing at all. So you will need to provide these margins along the sheet. You will have to create the title block and so on. And every time you use a new drawing sheet, the work needs to be repeated. But as now we are taking help of AutoCAD, what we can do is we can create this entire thing once and we can save it in our computer. So what happens when you start a new drawing is that you can call up that template file, which will obviously be having all these things, and then start drawing directly. You can save the drawing then as a common .dwg file with a different name. That saves a lot of effort. Also, you can, as part of the template, save different dimension styles. We have talked about dimension styles previously. A lecture, extensive lecture has been shared with you. I hope you have gone through that. Also, you can create layers and save them as part of that template. So these sort of trivial preliminary things, which are prerequisite to a drawing, can be done once and saved as a template. So that is the advantage of creating a template and saving it. Here you can see one example of a template that has been created using AutoCAD. You can see that there are margins over here. We also have the grid references, and there is the template block with very basic information. The title block could be having different kind of formats, but here we will be going for a simpler format which looks like this. Now going back to this slide, there are certain dimensions which one should keep in mind. For example, what is the minimum width of the margin? Here is the edge, and this is the corresponding second line that creates the margin. So if you are using A2, A3 or A4 sheet, then you have to provide a gap of 10 millimeters between these two. And what about the size of these grid references? These boxes in which the letters or the numbers would be provided. It has to have a dimension lengthwise, which is between 25 and 75 millimeters. So you have some leeway to play around here. You know what kind of sheet you are using. If you are going for A4 sheet, then its dimension along the length would be 297 millimeters. You have 10 millimeters for the margin from both sides. So you can take out 20 millimeters. So around 275 millimeters are there for you to play with. And that can be divided in such a way, maybe five or maybe six different grids, so that the individual dimensions lengthwise of these boxes remain within this zone, that is 25 to 75 millimeters. Similarly, the title block, it has a maximum length of 170 mm. But then again, if you provide 170 millimeters, it takes up a lot of area. So here we'll probably be looking at a length of maximum 100 millimeters to provide for the title block. By the way, all of this information is according to the Indian standards, whose reference number is provided here. That is SP46, published in 2003. Anyway, now we move on to the AutoCAD interface, and let us see how we can make that margin and template over here. The first thing that I will do here is create a few layers. You are familiar with this process, so I'm not going to dwell too much time upon this, but if you are confused about it, please have a look at the video lecture that was shared with you previously. So I'll just create a margin layer. There are other layers that you should create here. Those would be the object layer, which is continuous in terms of the line type, and it has a 0.35 mm line width, and so on. There would be a thin layer, there would be a dimension layer. So many layers would be present here. So all the layers that are probably going to be required for your drawing should be created beforehand. You can create the list here and save it. And if you save this file now as a template file, then those layers would be saved as part of the template as well. So for now, I've just created the margin layer, and I would make the margin layer as the current layer. Current layer is indicated by this green tick mark. So that is done. You can also change the dimension style from here. Again, I would refer you back to the pre-recorded demonstration of the dimension topic, where how to modify dimension style has been discussed in a lot of detail. So have a look at that as well. So these two are probably your first task when you are going for a template. Create the layers that would be necessary and provide a proper dimension style. Now next, we have to go for the layout. I have moved to the layout 1. You can see here that this sort of looks like a drawing sheet, but what is the dimension of this drawing sheet needs to be set up using the page setup option, which you can write in the command prompt. Go to modify, and here right now I do not have a printer with me connected to my laptop, so I will just go for this DWG to PDF. I'll save it as a PDF file. What is the paper size? Let's set it as ISO A4. Yes. Yes.
Sir, can you please show again from the page setup comment?
Okay, I'll repeat. Let me just cut it out here. So here we are in the layout. What is the function of the page setup? It sets up the dimensions of this page and a certain other uh, important parameters regarding how the drawings would show up on this layout. Okay, so how do we set up this page? We will, in the command prompt, write page setup. That is the command. Simple page setup. You can see that is also being shown here. So what does it do? Controls the page layout, plotting device, paper size, and other settings for each new layout. So these are the important settings that I was telling you about. So once you have written page setup in the command prompt, press enter. You will have this page setup manager open up where you will go to modify. In this page setup window, there are certain important things that you need to take care of. First of all, the printer or plotter. If your computer is connected to a printer, then select that printer so that you can take printouts of your drawings. However, at this point, I do not have a printer connected to my laptop. So what I will do is I'll just simply select this option, DWG to PDF.PC3. It creates PDF files. You can save PDF versions of your drawing. You can also go for Microsoft Print to PDF, but this is the original version, or you can say default version that is provided with AutoCAD. So it converts DWG to PDF. So select that. Once that is done, the next task is to set the paper size. What is the dimension of that white rectangle that you saw over there in the layout? So I will set it as ISO A4. Find it out from this list. It's a long list. So carefully find out ISO A4 and select it. What to plot? The layout is to be plotted. So there is nothing to be done here. No offsets to be given. Make sure that it is always 0. X and Y are always 0. Plot scale should always be 1:1. It should not vary from there. 1:1 means 1 millimeter is equivalent to 1 unit. So that should be kept. Next is plot style. Plot style, you should make it monochrome.ctb. What is meant by that? If you use different colors for your lines, for example, think back to the different layers, we had probably used the color red for the dimension layer, or maybe blue for the center layer, or green for the dashed layer. These are sort of just examples that I can think of. So if you do not have a color printer, then obviously these colors would not show up there. So it is always a better idea, good idea, to make it monochrome.ctb. And finally, check that your drawing orientation is set to landscape. So once all these different parameters are set, you can press OK and close this. Now what you will see is that this dotted rectangle has appeared over here. This, by the way, is a viewport. Viewport we have discussed in the last class. This viewport at the moment is not necessary. So I will just select it and press delete and remove that. So what does this rectangle indicate? This indicates the printable area. Anything you draw outside would not show up in your print preview, or if you take a printout, it would not show up there. So you have to be careful to stay within the dotted rectangle that is being shown here. So that completes your page setup. Next, I'll select a rectangle, go as close to this dotted rectangle as possible, but staying within that, and draw this. This is basically the outer edge that has been created. That's the outer edge. Next, I'll use the offset command. We know about the offset command. So I'll select offset. This is a A4 sheet. So the offset distance I'll set as 10 mm. Select the object, click on the inside, press enter. So you can see that I have now created the margin. Next, what is to be done is select explode, select the entire inner rectangle and hit enter. So what it does is it breaks it into its constituent lines. So now you have 4 lines that can be selected separately. That is the functionality of the explode command. So the
Sir,
margin is created. Yes.
sir, sir, can you please show the repeat the after when we draw the rectangle and then apply the offset command?
Uh, you want the offset command to be shown?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Offset command is simply select this offset, provide the offset distance, hit enter, and then select the object to be offset. And after that, finally, click on the side where you want to create the offset. Offset command was discussed in detail in one of the classes. But still, I will just show you. But for that, I'll need to remove this. So this is the rectangle. Go to the offset command. It will ask for the offset distance. Offset distance is 10. Hit enter. Says select object to offset. So obviously there is only one object here in this drawing layout. I'll select that. Now offset can be created on the outside, also on the inside. There are 2 sides. So now it says specify point on side to offset. So I want it obviously on the inner side, and that's where I will click. Then finally hit enter. So that is how you create an offset of a rectangle. Now I want to break it into its constituent parts. So that means so that I can select the lines individually. And that can be done using the explode command. Here is the explode command. It breaks it into its components. Select the rectangle, hit enter. Now I can select the individual lines. So the margin is sort of created without the grids. Now I have to create the grids. For that, I have to divide the line. We have the divide option with us. And write divide in the command prompt, or you can also access it from here. Here is the divide command. You can either select it from here, or you can write it in the command prompt and hit enter. So it says select object to divide. That is the object I want to divide. Select it. Now enter the number of segments. How many divisions do you want? So I want 6 divisions. Hit enter and it will be divided. However, it is not shown because of the point style. I'll set the point style by using the p-type command. Write p-type in the command prompt, hit enter. So the point style window opens up. Select. Right now, this is indeed a point. That is why it is not being shown up on this line. So I'll change the point style to this kind of a thing and hit enter. And you will see that the line has already been divided into 6 divisions. I have to divide the vertical line as well, but we'll come to that later on. Now let's zoom in just a little bit on that part. Now I can select this point and drop a perpendicular to the outer edge. I can also do this. I can switch on the ortho mode and drop this perpendicular. So select line using O snap, get hold of this point, and from here drop a perpendicular to the outer edge. So that is how I have created this line. Next, I will do copy, select object, press enter, then specify the base point. This is the base point with respect to which the objects will be copied and pasted. And now you can see that I can copy the same line to these different positions. So as you can see, now we have the 6 divisions created, equal divisions, by the way. Same thing can be done for the vertical side also.
Sir,
Yes.
ফার্স্ট ক্রিট অ্যান্ড লার্জ ক্রিটে 10 মিলিমিটার এক্সট্রা হয়ে গেছে।
No, that is not necessary. So this part you are talking about,
Yes,
right?
yes.
So that part is just extra. That you do not have to take care of. So you just divide the inner line into equal parts.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So now we have to write some text. This was also covered in the last class. So I'll write text. For this, I am not going to write at this position because it is difficult to maintain the correct location or proper location at this point. So I will arbitrarily write anywhere on this drawing sheet and then use the move command to put them in their appropriate locations. So here I will specify the height as 5, rotation angle as 0, and write the text like this. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like that. We can move them now to these places. So what to do? Use the move command, select the first letter, first numeral over here, specify base point. Base point is not that important because it's a very small figure, small thing to move, so we can control it anyway. So take it over here and by eye estimation place it somewhere near the middle. It does not have to be exact, but somewhere near the middle you should place it. Similarly, you can take this 2, 3, 4, 5, all of them here. But another thing that can be done, which will probably be better to look at because it will maintain the same level at all of these grid blocks, is create copies of this one. So go to copy, select this, press enter. Any base point would do. And with this ortho on and this O snap off, you can put this towards the middle of the grid blocks. But the obvious problem here is that all of them are ones. So I need to edit it. Just simply double click and then use backspace to remove the number, put the proper number over here. That's it. And once all of them are done, hit enter. select these things and delete. So you can see now that they are properly in same level because I had used this ortho mode. So it horizontally, they are maintaining the same level. So that is an advantage that you can use. I hope up to this is clear with you. You can repeat the same process for the vertical line as well. So here, divide, select this object, and the number of segments here could be 4 or 5. Let's make it 4. And you can see that 1, 2, 3, 4 segments are created. Select a line, switch OSnap on, and draw this line. In fact, if you do not want to use the copy command, then you can simply draw these lines individually. That's it. Now you have to provide the letters. Write text. Let's see. D. So 4 would be required, and that's all. Again, we'll move the first one, that is A. We need to switch off the ortho for now. And by eye estimation, place it somewhere near the middle of the box. You can move each of these letters to their respective boxes. But then again, as I said previously, it is probably a better idea to copy the first figure and use the ortho command with ortho mode on, can probably make it look better that way. So finally, what you need to do is make this B, C, and this is B. That's all. You can delete these things. Is there a question? Shomodip Sarkar? Any questions from your side?
No, sir.
Okay. So this is by mistake? Okay, no problem. Up to this, I think, I hope this is clear to you. Next, what we have to do is copy this onto the other side, the right hand side, and copy the top half, this top margin, into the bottom side over here. And that's quite easily done if you use the copy command, but you need to be careful about selecting all of the lines and the text carefully. So you need to select all of them. Should not miss out on anything. So once this is done, go for copy, and with respect to this base point, come over here. Same thing can be done for the vertical grid references. Go to copy. The base point needs to be selected carefully. If I select this as the base point, then that might create some problem because I cannot place it over here. Anyway, the best option that you can select is this line, this midpoint. So with respect to the midpoint on the other side, you can place it here. And once you have completed that, that means your grid and the grid reference and the margin, that part is completed. You can write p type and go back to the original point style to make it like this. So what is left? The title block. The title block can be made using lines, and it's quite obvious really that you need to start from this point maybe. Then write @100 angle of 180. You end up here, go up by 50, angle 270. No, that would be down. So angle would be 90. And then you can drop a perpendicular here. So there is an extra line over here. So you can select that line and delete it. So that gives you the basic structure of the title block. Now you have to again divide it. So we'll use divide. The vertical line should be divided here. The number of segments is 5. Hit enter. We'll have to change the point type again. Point style, change to this again, press OK. And now you can draw horizontal lines like this. Or maybe you can use the copy command. At these locations. You are already familiar with how to write text. So write the text command here, write name, roll number and department, title of the drawing, and also some other important things such as this projection symbol and scale. So this part you can practice on your own. So the next thing that we should be doing is how to save it. Remember that we want to save it not as a simple .dwg file, drawing file. We have to save it as a template file. So we'll go to here and find out save as. And you can see in this list, you have drawing template. Create a drawing template DWT file in which it can be used to create a new drawing. So I'll select this and I'll need a proper place to save it in my computer. Probably go to desktop, this PC. So I can save it over here. It is different name and save. Description may not be required. It is not a mandatory option. You can simply press OK. So let's see if it has been saved or not. Here you can see temp A4, that is a A4 template modified version, which has been saved. So now let me just cross it out. And here, before I close it, do notice that this is temp A4 underscore modified dot DWT. So this is indeed a template file. So we'll close this and we'll open it again. Here in file types, go to .dwt, drawing template. Go to the location where you have saved your template file. And that is the file. Open this and you see that you are ready to go. If you have already made the title block, completed the title block, then you can start drawing from here. And you can see that the layers that we had made two layers, margin and the object layer, both are still present here. So that has also been saved as part of the template file. Now what you can do is you can make any kind of drawing in this model space. Go to this layout, create a viewport, and show that drawing that has been drawn in the model space here in this layout, along with all the prerequisites for a drawing sheet. I'll show you one example here. This is an example of a machine drawing where you can see that this margin and title block are used, and we have a complicated machine part shown here. The original drawing is actually in the model space. So it has been drawn in model space, but then we have used a viewport like this to show it along with the margin and the title blocks. So if you now take a printout of this, it will almost be like a drawing sheet that can be preserved. So let me see if I can create a print preview. Here's the print preview. You can see if you take a print of this, it will be like a drawing sheet with all the different parameters that are required to make it a proper drawing sheet. And it can then be stored and used as documentation for design. So this is how you can create a template and save a template.